Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the chat. Today we're going to be talking about the Dylan Rounds case, more specifically Chase Venstra on the 25th of May. Some additional background information to explain what happened to Chase Venstra on that date and why he ended up where he was, in which Dylan came across Chase for the first time, supposedly speaking. Some of you may have seen this information before, others may have not, and that's why we're going to take a closer look at it today and analyse it. Previous videos ago, I just briefly read it and that was it. I want to make sense of it today, apply it to the maps visually to get an idea of the location, possible angle, where he was exactly. Because how it's been worded by a fair few people with time, more so the news articles, authorities, Candice Cooley, the family, they've just basically said Chase Venstra, 25th, strange man, coming out of the desert, blood on him, no shoes, the end. And it seems a little bit vague, right? So there's no harm in providing a deeper explanation behind it, right? Dedicated video as well. So it should be clear to follow and understand. Credit to Weezer for having this information. And speaking of which, Weezer did say in recent time that she's going to assist with Ty Corbyn or so when the next upcoming search takes place. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if there'll be any footage recorded, but once again, people going out physically searching for Dylan, that's good. Be interesting to see the outcome, if there is one. Hopefully it doesn't conflict with any other groups out there searching, or, the likes Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds, etc. But, time will tell. That aside, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my previous video. I'll provide a link down below in the pinned comment section. The other thing, I'm not quite sure where to add it in. The link to the channel membership, it can be a little bit awkward, right? I just want to highlight that. And people have said it in the past. I guess maybe if you're on a particular device, you can click the join button and then become a member that way, which some have done, which is good of them to do so. But for others who may have not had access to that button, they require a link. Now, how do I get a link to give to other people? At first, I had no clue. But then what I realised was, for some reason, if I upload a default video onto YouTube, by default, it includes the link to my channel membership in the description. Now, it doesn't seem to happen with most of the videos I upload, only the default ones from the PC, if I only upload from the computer, which is a bit odd. So I've got the link now. I put it on my notepad on my phone, so it can be shared easier now, but I'm just wondering where to post it, because unfortunately I don't think you can do pinned post in the community tab. It would be a lot better that all the shortcut links, to the different places, it would be a lot better, but can't seem to do that. So maybe what I will do is from now on, just discreetly down there in the comment section, is have the pinned video to previous one, the link to the alternative super chat, okay, if you want to do it anonymously, and then the link to channel membership, and just keep it there, because if I can't pin it anywhere, I'll just have to keep reposting it. So it is kind of messy, to be honest. It shouldn't need to be that way, but it is what it is. Just a heads up to people that might have been confused in the past, it should be more accessible now, hopefully, okay? So Find Dylan Round's Facebook page, still quiet, right? Some people did put some comments in recently saying how it could be a good sign. There must be stuff going on in the background. Maybe it's to do with the courts, upcoming dates, possibly, maybe. Don't know if we're going to come across the comments later, but what we'll also do today, aside from the map analysis, aside from Weezer's additional information of Chase Venstra, deep analysis, we can check out the comments of the last video to begin with. Not the last video of the messy one, Dodgy Time, the one before that regarding Dylan, because there was quite a few comments on there answer those questions if there is any key points, key bits of information. And I'll just point it out now in case it's not in the comment section of that video. One of the individuals, what's his name called now? Is it Darren, Barry, Bob, John? I don't know. The profile picture of the orangutan with the bold patch there, that guy. And he was going on about saying he was posting the comments or coordinates over and over again, and it would not post, it would not show in the chat or comment section. And then I think maybe Ronald, whoever he's called, ended up posting a link, email address or something in the chat, and it didn't show up or something. And it's like, I have no clue, being honest, no clue. Like, weird stuff happens on YouTube, and it just never ends. You can get some of the most dodgiest accounts and bot accounts promoting spam to inappropriate websites, and that's perfectly accepted by YouTube. It's not blocked, it's not deleted by YouTube, it's left there. But when a normal person leaves a normal comment, they get censored, and it makes no sense whatsoever. Most definitely, it's YouTube at fault, errors, mistakes, all that type of stuff. I constantly see it in the YouTube studio section where it'll say an error occurred on this day, which impacted the statistics or made it appear like this when it shouldn't have been. So it's just constant things going on, right, which can't really be explained. And as for coordinates, they shouldn't be, deleted automatically, but that seems to be the case. So once again, I guess YouTube automatically highlighting them as spam or something. I have always gone back to the held comments for review section, and there's nothing there either. So I don't know where they've gone, honestly. But, I mean, when it came to the Kenny Veach case, when people provided links to other videos, they were taken away because of spam. That's what YouTube detected it as, and there was nothing I could do about it, right? And I think on one of my previous videos, I even purposely set the comments to allow all comments, right? To see if that would make any difference, and it didn't. It didn't whatsoever, so I don't know. The coordinates provided by people, though, in the past, in the Kenny Veach case, that was fine, it did work. And the guy with the orangutan profile picture who may deny it right now, well, unless, were you around during my videos in the past when those comments were posted and there was no issues? Or what? But it doesn't seem to be happening now. Though, speaking of which, when it does come to coordinates, Tara was able to provide them in the comments, and that didn't get deleted. So I really don't know, unless there's a difference between leaving a comment in the comment section and then leaving a message in the live chat. Maybe the live chat for some reason is restricted in some way. But then again, you had those spam accounts and those fake accounts in the past typing a load of random stuff and advertising this and that, and they weren't censored. So it's very random, once again. And that's what the most annoying thing is. It's random. Something happens, something doesn't, something doesn't, something happens. It pissed me off, right? So, don't know what you can do about that unless you space the characters out or something so it doesn't detect as some kind of spam. Some people, when they've provided links to videos, have added an extra character in so it doesn't become a hyperlink and then it's not auto-detected as spam. It's stupid. You got to work around this silly stuff. I mean, even when it comes to titles of videos, I remember when I was doing that Idaho 4 case video, just a brief one, and I think I originally called it Idaho 4 murder case or something, but because I used the word murder, video restricted, YouTube didn't like that word murder, so I had to change it. Another time when I was doing that funny video to do with Kaylee, and I think it was something brought the bitch out of me, but because I used the word bitch, YouTube restricted the video once again. So what I had to do, I had to retype the word bitch, but the I in the word, I had to take the I out and put a number 1 in, so then it doesn't automatically read as, I guess, an inappropriate word. So it's really stupid, all this fiddling about you got to do, but, you know, if you do it and you're able to, you know, avoid all the other issues, then there's no harm there. I mean, other channels have to go as far as bleeping out words all the way through a video. That seems really far-fetched. I don't know why that happens there. Maybe it's because they're sponsored by someone or a product and they're not allowed to use certain words, maybe. But, you know, let's just put all that aside and focus on Dylan Rounds today. We will check the comments first, the previous video, followed by Weezer's comment, then apply it to the maps and make sense of it to maybe tie up loose ends regarding the 25th of May, maybe to strengthen, reinforce, provide a stronger context behind what happened, okay? And as we do go along in the chat, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions and reactions, whether you agree or disagree, okay? Also, shout out to Badger last night for their super chat. Good of them, okay? And Cleo, I think Cleo might have popped in as well, so shout out to Cleo. So let's head back onto the comments and begin reading. Right, so here we are. Let's adjust it and begin reading. Tom Evans, that was resolved in the end. I haven't seen Bob Farrell for weeks. Christy, agree. Ronald, Bob was in Jim Terry's chat last night. I could be wrong. Weezer thinks I'm drinking and she's right. But what? Not quite enough? Okay. So whilst Ron is drinking left, right and centre, Linda, keep that cellar locked at all times, okay? We don't want things to go downhill. Anyway, okay, fair enough. Have I seen Bob in Jim Terry's chat? Well, at least in the past, you know. No, I've not in the past. I've mainly just seen Bob at the Shack Ladies, but I guess because the Shack Lady isn't doing live streams as much now, then people shift about, okay? And you may see patterns at times where people might be around for a couple of weeks, then they move on to a different channel. So, you know, it's kind of on rotation, which is interesting, of different groups of people. It can work out at times. Iron Frog. Has anyone gone down the mine shaft or is it too blocked off inside? I saw one adventurer go in, but he refused to travel down it. So, Iron Frog, if you're around right now, who did you watch? You know, did you see an adventurer on YouTube? Was it Scott Natal or somebody else? Feel free to explain in the chat or down below in the comments, because, you know, a couple of people have gone out searching. The ones that have been mainly hands-on and gone inside of places would be Lance Kelly, and then that aside, Scott Natal, Les Natal, Alan. I mean, Ty Corbin has tagged along, but he hasn't always gone inside because he prefers staying on the outside just so no one gets, like, hurt or anything, or that there's help on the outside to be able to, you know, work efficiently. But, yeah, speaking of the mine shafts, and I think it was Iron Frog a couple of days ago in the chat that was saying how, I don't know if he worded it differently, though. I don't know if it's the same mine shaft as what's mentioned here about refusing to travel down it, but I'm sure Iron Frog also mentioned that there was a mine shaft in which it was kind of blocked in. You couldn't go down into it anymore because it was filled in, which is a little bit odd. But, you know, if you got all these mines and mine shafts out there, right, and they're old, they've been there for some time, at least one of them is going to collapse and probably cave in on itself, right, because it's old and rickety. I understand that. But as for these volunteers that have gone out there, cave group or something, I don't know if it was a cave group or not, but volunteers exploring all these mines in Lucin, Candice Cooley being in contact with them. Who were they really? Not really mentioned anywhere in news articles, or not really mentioned much since in interviews or in court documents. None of that. So, who were they? Was it short term? Are they still out there now? Did they truly look at every mine and mine shaft out there? Because the likes of Lance Kelly doesn't seem to agree. He thinks they've not been searched properly, right? I don't know if any digs were aimed at Scott Natal or Les Natal at some point, but I've seen some footage from Scott Natal of going into him as well and descending in as well, which is good of him and kind of dangerous as well. I also saw, I think, Linda's comment on one of Ty Corbyn's recent videos talking about how things got a little bit sketchy or a bit dangerous when Scott Natal was going down into a mine shaft. If I'm correct in saying, I can't quite remember, but what did you mean by that, Linda? If it was you that mentioned that comment, what happened to Scott Natal? What went wrong? You know, maybe I missed the video or the clip of it. Anyway, let's continue. There we go. Danny with the orangutan. That's the one I was talking about the comments not being visible. Danny said, law enforcement, as well as Candice Cooley and some others, know where Don H. lived. Perhaps they have good reason to not reveal it in a public forum. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, in a way, it's understandable where Don H. lived. Okay, so you're referring to his original location. I mean, what's the harm in revealing the location now if Don H. doesn't live there anymore and there's nothing in his trailer? You know, it's not really going to go wrong. Not much can go wrong if he's already moved on, right? I can understand maybe keeping his new location private, right? Privacy and all of that. But if Don H. isn't directly involved in this case, supposedly, then why such the secrecy in a way? But then, you know, you also got to understand that at times in the past, Candice Cooley did reveal information which she echoed on from what she heard from the police, which may and should have been maybe held back and not said to the general public, but it was still done, right? And I'd say the likes of, you know, some information coming out or evidence arguably more important than the location of Don H's original trailer location. Yeah, that's public. Why isn't Don H, you know? And once again, I'm just surprised people haven't gone searching for Don Haley's trailer, considering he still talks about here and there. Yeah. Patsy sent you an email with a screenshot of Don H's land approval from 2019, a screenshot of the GIS map showing the parcel location, and a screenshot of Earth showing parcel 1.5 miles from the pond. Okay, so Patsy, I assume this email, this screenshot, is where Don Haley's trailer is literally at. Whether it's 2019 imagery or around that time, that's fine. I could be able to compare and contrast with that newer map, what I had, the 2022, which does reveal things which weren't originally there. I will check that email out when I get time. As said, just doing these videos in this particular order, so it kind of reduces down the load of stuff and material. Then it doesn't get like too overwhelming. Christy liked the video. Shout out to Christy. Badger. Wouldn't it be wonderful if everyone would just help each other, especially in the case of a missing person? Cases would get further faster. Makes you wonder if the other true crime channels really want the missing found. Good point by Badger. What I'll say first of all is, as for everyone working together, I don't think that will ever be possible in any case out there. There'll always be, you know, differences of opinions, always be evolutionary competitiveness of who gets the information first, who provides it on their channels first, who's got all the contacts, the sources and all of that. And if there is reward money involved, maybe that will fuel it as well. Then you've got the disagreements of who's doing what, how they're handling the case and research, they're doing it wrong or they're doing it right, are they causing harm to the case, confusion. It's so back and forth. That's happened in the Dylan Rounds case, of course, but with time, the last few months, it's not been as bad, right? maybe because people have moved on and other channels are too engaged with one another with all the external drama, right? Which is fine. It opens the space, the floor for clearer discussions and information to be put through, such as on this channel, with people reaching out to one another, some giving, sending out emails to me, makes it easier, right? More practical than a group chat situation in which you could get someone that comes on in as a spy or a leech, fake account, fake username, pretending to be someone else, then extracts all the information and starts, I don't know, causing direct attacks to people, because all of that would have happened already elsewhere, right? So we've tried limiting that, avoiding that issue from coming out. So yeah, I think people are working maybe a little bit more better now, working together with one another. Okay, you can agree or disagree if you want. Let me know your thoughts. We'll do a poll right now. The poll can be, do you feel that people are working more together now on this case than in the past? Yes, no. The yes can mean overall in the case. No, well, not much going on, not much good. And then I can provide another option saying yes, but only on certain channels, e.g. here. Something like that. And then people can vote. Anything else? Makes you wonder if true crime channels really want the missing found. I mean, you issue that question out to every true crime channel out there, and majority of responses will be, yes, of course we want that missing person found. And yet, it seems, whether they are aware or not, they're doing everything possible to almost prevent that missing person from being found, or just make it more difficult, whether it be for themselves or for the other people involved. But you start adding that on, they'll deny it, right? Denial, humans are good at that, denial. Anyway, Ronald Cully, I have beautiful hair and it's real. That is my, pick in 2020. I'm Montello. I thought everybody knows this. Cheers, mate. Okay. And what's this? The pick was on panel when I did the Shack Lady shows. That's what weird reason you had to be confused. So that probably explains why I was referring back to Shack Lady as the profile picture. Okay, that makes sense there. But yeah, I did leave a comment, but I'll just reiterate it once again. Ronald Cully, if you ever come across pancakes, just make sure that your hair is firmly on, just in case, because, with the whole wig conspiracy aimed at me, if Pancakes gets too close to you, he might tug at the hair, because for some reason, Salty Pancakes seems to have a bit of an obsession, fantasies about tugging and pulling people's hair. I don't know if it's from the back or from the front, just like how Fast Eddie talked about, are we going round the back of the grain shed to see what's going on? I don't know. But if there's any hair pulling and tugging, maybe you will find that behind the grain shed. I guess time will tell, of course. But yeah, no harm just pointing that out. Linda Cushing. Oh, I keep doing that. I keep saying the wrong name. Well, like Ralph, you have to remember Lance only lived out there 1 year, so I'm pretty sure he didn't know anyone there or where they lived. I'm also sure Lance didn't know any of the back roads, so maybe he's just guessing. That was Don's place. Ty showed him the mines and roads. Yeah, at the time I couldn't remember when Lance moved into the area. I think when looking at some comments, or if it was from a past timeline, where other people were exposing Lance Kelly supposedly, that Lance and the family moved about because they got caught, or Lance got in trouble or something in a different place and then moved out to Montello, Nevada. I don't know how true that is. I think at one point in the past, don't know what channel, provided photos of criminal mugshots of Lance Kelly. Don't know if that's exactly true either. The person had no beard, so it was hard to compare, but if it really is what it is, it's It's a strange case, this, the Dylan Rounds one, just for the simple fact that when you look at all the others out there, the Idaho 4 one to an extent, the Kylie Rodney one, Murdoch or something case at the moment, and then some others in between. The Dylan Rounds one has seemed to have attracted all the people with possible past criminal records or getting in trouble in the police in some way. It's just kind of odd. But then again, you think of Montello, like how it seems to be a bit of a anything goes place, no holds barred. All these different criminals may gather there or pass through the area and can do what they want and most of the time get away with it, possibly. It's echoed by that within the community of the Dylan Rounds case, people's backgrounds. It's just interesting how all these people gather in one spot. And then supposedly some people, like people talk about drama on other channels, but then let's talk about these channels knowing one another from the past, years and years ago. I think Jim Terry and Zav Girl or something, or No Thanks and Jim Terry and some others in between. So some of these longer standing ones, interesting. I mean, in the past, before I came across the Dylan Rounds case, I never heard or knew of No Thanks before, or Jim Terry, or Zav Girl, or Earthworm Infotainment, or Pancakes, none of them, right? Or Bellevue, none at all. Though the only one I did hear of was Scott Natal, right? And it's interesting how he transitioned onto the Dylan Rounds case to an extent. It was kind of good, though. It was kind of good, that sense of, you've done Kenny Veach, and so has he, and viewers as well have watched along, and you kind of all move in the same direction. That's like the best outcome, right? So you can maintain the audience interest and assistance from them, because they did help in the past. And also, you've got other channels out there who have been hiking themselves, like with Kenny Veach, now applied to Dylan Rounds. It's good. Anyway, My Green Mountain Life. It don't hurt anything or anyone to see what's on the maps or earth to poke around safely in your own home, then risking everything to trespass or snoop where people don't want you to. Fair point. I really hope Maps and Earth update stuff so I can snoop in real time, just because I can, even if it ticks one off. I use coordinates when I'm hiking, camping, travelling before I go. So it's, for me, helps me investigate areas before I go off. It's good for me. Yeah. Good example, Tara did provide coordinates previous to some locations in Lucin, which turned out to be somewhat interesting, right? And because of her doing her own camping and going off-road and stuff, it's good to have coordinates so you know where you're going and what you're going to come up against. Reiterating once again with the whole hiking in the Kenny Veach case, people going out there providing coordinates and pre-preparing, pre-planned. This entire case has been more than stressful. Wild goose chase, rabbit holes, lies, theories, and I'm glad to have helped you, Lightwef. Thanks so much for following me to get you over what you were wanting all along. I guess that's coordinates. Cleo, not bad. Ooh, not bad. Okay. Martin Anderson. Last year, in October 19th, I gave the location of Dylan and his body was moved. Didn't know it. I gave a new location where Dylan remains are, 3rd of the 12th, 2023, to Detective Moore, and Dylan remains are in the corner facility, West Jordan. Right. Okay. I don't know if this is one of these type of comments where it's a load of rubbish, someone making it up, trying to appear as if they do know the outcome, or if it is the truth. Let me know your thoughts down below. Also says, when the parents of Dylan are going to spend the money on themselves and they will not find anything, he's already found the reward money should go to the people that have found him. Wait, so what, Martin? Do you mean you want the reward money because you gave the location? Huh. Never heard of this person or this account before. Last year, giving the location and his body was moved. Didn't know it. Who didn't know it? You? Them? I gave a new location where Dylan's remains are. And Dylan's remains, found? But, if this is truly the case, how would you know where Dylan is at? Unless you assisted or somehow got in contact with Brenner. I mean, because of the silence recently, could that explain anything? I don't know. Danny, whenever I've tried to give more specific information, my comment has automatically disappeared. Maybe that's why no one can give specific coordinates. Well, Tara was able to provide specific coordinates of an area. So that's what I mean. There's inconsistencies. What's this? Not true. I have tried a dozen times to share the coordinates and it is deleted every single time. I know the location, but there is no way to share it. Maybe they're held for your review. Please check. I did. And as said, I check every day and there was absolutely nothing there of your comments. So I have no clue what's going on. But, I've got Instagram. If you want to send the coordinates over there, or there'll be other means and forms of being able to share it. So it's under control. Just make sure you're in the chat or something. Dawn Marie. Wasn't there a lady who lived next to Dylan that also disappeared? Are you talking about Susan Powell in Utah? Let me know if that's the case. Shout out to Dawn Marie, new viewer. Does anyone else know of someone that lived next to Dylan? A lady that disappeared? Anyone know? Because all I can think of regarding missing females in the area, or kind of in the area, would be Susan Powell. Such as when Scott Natal went looking in Utah, and Heavy D did as well on separate occasions. But I didn't think Susan lived anywhere near Dylan. Don't believe that's the case. But, no harm in talking about it, right? Is that it for the comments? Yeah, it appears to be. Now, welcome if you have joined. If you want to rewind back to catch up, feel free to do so. But what we are going to do now is check out Weezer's comment and information regarding Chase Venstra on the 25th of May 2022 to get a deeper understanding and backstory to why he ended up at Tacoma Road. Okay? So here's Weezer's comment, and we'll just basically read it out one more time and then I can analyse it as we go through. The guy that had his guns stolen lived near the place Chase Venstra was buying that had the chicken coop with dead chickens in it. I'm sure most remember that video. So, yes, I do remember that. That video was, and I think is still available to watch on Salty Pancake's channel. It's in the past, months ago now, when Salty Pancakes went out there, I believe, with Kurt Wadsworth and maybe Glorindellen. I'm sure that name popped up as well. And they were hovering around Chase Venstra's homestead, and that's how it was worded at the time, with multiple trailers in the area parked up, which also had a hole in the ground with a dead dog in it or two. A lot of items scattered about, lawnmowers, electronics, boxes, ammunition dumped on the floor, trailers caved in, hoarding, the lot. And then not far from there, the road maybe leading up to it, further back, there was a box buried in the ground with sheets over it, which had ammunition in, Winchester 7 something rounds. And then nearby as well, there was a section with a chicken coop, and that's what Weezer's talking about. That chicken coop did have dead chickens within it, in comparison to Brenner in Montello, Nevada in the past, in which he had a chicken coop as well, yet there was no chickens in that coop. I don't know where they ended up, unless they were long gone or never existed. There was no bones, nothing. So, But with Chase Venstra, What's the reason behind the dead chickens and the dead dog? Was that as a result to neglect because Chase Venstra wasn't around to look after them because he couldn't be bothered to? Or was it because he was arrested by the police and no one was looking after them? Does anyone know the backstory behind that? Why they were just left out there, not fed, and why the dog died too and was put in the hole? I'm not quite sure there, but if anyone knows, feel free to add it in. So that guy, I forgot his name, I don't know if the name was ever mentioned by Weezer, but the guy which was a victim of Chase Venstra's burglaries, robberies, living nearby. Now, I wouldn't know that because I guess when Pancakes was in the area looking about, I didn't really see any other buildings or houses or trailers. So maybe it was just the angle, the timing, the shot at that point, maybe. Let's carry on reading. The camo clothing and missing gun is interesting because if anyone remembers at the beginning, Chase Venstra was seen near Tacoma Road hiding in the brush and the ranchers were after him. He was wearing camo and carrying a gun. The gun that is still missing is an AR. Wow. This guy believes that it is hidden somewhere between Tacoma and Lucin. This guy also told me he tried several times to contact Kurt and Salty to get location on the videos so he could retrieve some of his stolen items. Neither of them responded back. Now, I don't have the name of the location, unfortunately, but I have documented the screenshots in the past from Pancake's videos, so I don't know if that helps. If anyone wants to try and reach out to Pancakes, but don't know if it's really practical at the moment with Pancakes having that temporary ban on his main channel. So there's that. Ranchers. So, quick question, Weezer. These ranchers that were after Chase Venstra, was that because the guy who had his guns stolen by Chase ordered ranchers to go out there and hunt Chase Venstra down? Is there a link there? Or is there another reason? Because the way it reads here, it makes sense. Chase Venstra steals some items, runs away. Others in the area who may be affiliated with that guy, know him in some way, help, vigilante almost group, and then just basically try and get to Chase. Now, with it being described in the past, Chase Venstra was bloodied. What was that caused by? I guess we can get into that a little bit deeper soon. But to be honest, if Chase Venstra was running away and he had camo and he was carrying an AR, which is quite deadly, then why did he not use it on the people chasing him down then? Or were the ranchers armed as well? So were the ranchers doing a favour for the guy that had his items stolen, or were the ranchers doing it for another reason? If anyone knows, give the explanation down below. But now, since we know that, considering the clothing descriptions as we've vaguely heard in the past, I think we need to reassess the situation. Do we know the day Chase Venstra stole the items from that guy? With Chase Venstra living near to that guy, that homestead, how near? If it's near enough, then I'm surprised that guy doesn't know where Chase Venstra's homestead is. If they're in the middle of a desert, flat lands, you should be able to see it in the distance, right? If you live near to Chase Venstra, where those trailers were, surely they would stick out like a sore thumb. Unless the distance is greater, or maybe obscured by objects in between. You know what I'm saying? Right? If you live near somewhere, surely you would see what's in sight, considering most what's around is vast and empty, you know? So, there is that. There's Chase Venstra. It's all linked to him stealing the items from that guy on the same day, then it would definitely make more sense. We just need to know the date. If you're able to provide it, Weezer, what was the date Chase Venstra stole the guns and the camo from that guy the 25th of May or before. If it all happened on the same day, it makes more sense as it links together the outcome. That aside, let's get onto the maps now and visually, I guess, map it down. Right, so here we are on the maps. You can see all those markers some of you will be familiar with as we have taken a look in the past. But I do want to mention an important point right now, so hopefully people are listening. I have just noticed something. When reading Weezer's comment, she said Tacoma Road, spelt with an E. Now, in the past, whether it be because other people spelt it a different way or how it was pronounced, I thought it was called Tacoma, spelt with an A. So I think this map, these markings, may be incorrect. Not too far away, but still incorrect. But I need confirmation of it, okay? Because no one countered it in the past. No one said it was wrong. But I feel as if, of now, it was wrong. So if anyone can acknowledge that, make sure to do so in the chat. We are going to look at Tacoma Road. But then again, I don't know if we need to look at the other map, which labels the roads clearer, because look, this is one of the limitations with Google Earth. Not all roads are named. And when you got these dirt roads, they're just not named. It's so stupid. You have to physically type the names of the roads in. How stupid is that? So we got the border, Utah, right there. As you can see, goes all the way down that dotted line. And we've got Tacoma Road there, Tacoma. I think it's all down to pronouncing it in the past, which has caused a little bit of confusion. Just flip the image so you can see on ground level. This is Tacoma Road, and I can prove it to you. I'll just type it in now. Oh yeah, it's already there. Look, official marker right on this road, Tacoma Road. Though, as we saw, Weezer's comment said Tacoma. Let's type that one in, Tacoma. Tacoma Road. Where does this take us? Wow. Down here. On this line. Now, I've already highlighted it from the past, but I didn't know this was called Tacoma Road. I only knew of Tacoma. So this is a bit problematic in a way. I feel as if maybe I need to change the title of the past video I did, because that'd be technically wrong. I know they said near Tacoma, but that could incorporate the whole area, right? I mean, we're not too far away from Tacoma to Tacoma. What is it with the US or locations like this which have similar names to similar roads? It's so confusing and annoying. I mean, why couldn't they change the names a little bit clearer? Does it change the outcome of things? I mean, it's still labelled nearby, you got those containers there, but are they containers or is it a trailer? Is that Chase Venstra's homestead? I mean, there appears to be things dumped about. Ah, damn. It kind of throws a spanner in the works, this. Well, it's still nearby, so I guess we can just hover about the area. Maybe in a different video, I could also check and see if I can see Chase Venstra's homestead, because there was multiple trailers in the area which Salty Pancakes investigated. So I guess that's all you have to be on the lookout for. Maybe it doesn't show up on here 2019, but some other time if we load up that 2022 imagery, it'll pop up there, most likely. But this zone here, some dumped stuff. it does look like an RV, to be honest, when I look at it now, but I could be wrong. So previous, the way I looked at it was with Tacoma Road, if Dylan was driving down. It does make more sense now, because I was thinking previous, well, if Dylan was driving down here, why would he be driving down here then? When like the different angles of where Chase would be running from, which direction was he running from? Up there, to the left, or over the hill and down? Probably unlikely, because it's very steep. So if we pull out of here, come down this road, Tacoma Road, near to this farm. Now, were the ranchers, Weezer, from this farm on screen right here? I'll drop the coordinates. There's the coordinates. There we go. Because you can clearly see a farm. Ranchers. Did Chase Venstra try to steal something from here? And then they saw Chase and tried chasing him down. But then again, you know, with it being in this area, it just seems a bit too close to it all. Like, at least the way it was worded in the past was Chase Venstra was running through the desert, unknown of how long or the distance he covered, but he was running through the desert. He didn't have any shoes on. He was bloodied, etc., etc. And then Dylan came across him. And it was almost portrayed as he was being chased down. He managed to escape. But then other people at one point were saying he was held captive and managed to escape. Some said he was being chased down simply like that. But how did he get away? And with Weezer's comment, what we just checked before, because he was hiding in a brush. With him having camouflage, providing it's the correct colour, him wearing that along with being in brush, maybe you could get away with it. We just need to try and make sense of exactly where was Chase then, if it wasn't Tacoma and it was Tacoma. And as well, I'm sure Tacoma runs into Lucin, Utah as well. If this is Tacoma Road, then surely it continues on all the way down here, right? Into Lucin, am I correct? Maybe we'll check the other image out. I guess best thing to do is just simply look at the area, right? Which areas have more vegetation than others? You got brush there scattered about, right? But it's pretty bare and patchy here. So it must be further back that way. But you do have quite a bit of vegetation down here by the side of the road. So maybe Chase was hiding in this spot with the camouflage. Interesting. Brings in a lot of questioning, right? I mean, it doesn't cause too much trouble with the Dylan Rounds case itself, but just trying to understand Chase, his exact whereabouts, right? I assume him hiding in the brush. Then when he hears a car passing by, he jumps out, springs out, and, you know, says, "Hey, can you stop? I need a ride back." But if you escaped from that way, you know, you've come away from it west, and you want to be taken back. Why do you want to return back from where you were running away from? How does that make sense? Unless he was running, escaping from a different direction, possibly. So there's a bit of vegetation here. What about further down here then, near to this farm? There's more dense vegetation as you see near the railroad tracks. Quite a bit. But this farm here, I don't know if that played a role with Chase Venstra or not, when Weezer said about the ranchers chasing him down. Did the ranchers run out of breath, run out of energy, so they gave up? Or was Chase Venstra really good at hiding in the brush? I just find it hard to believe in a way. It's only because, like, when I've seen footage of people out there, Pancakes, Lance Kelly, You're seeing vegetation scattered about, but very low to the ground, not thick and dense. So if someone was trying to crouch in a brush, you'd probably see it. I mean, we've heard the stories about Aidan Clune crawling underneath bushes, which is a bit odd, but kind of understandable if he wasn't thinking with a straight mind at the time. But with Chase Venstra, I can understand hiding if people are after you, yeah, but how successful was it? Maybe the camouflage did play a part, but what's the chances of the camouflage mixing well with that vegetation? But then again, you're going to have camouflage which is suitable for that environment, right? For obvious reasons if you're going hunting. But of course, with the environment, it can change through the seasons. Vegetation can die down. It's no longer green anymore. But then again, if you've got the desert sage camo, that type of stuff, maybe you've got alternatives. But ultimately, what did Chase Venstra want with that camouflage and AR rifle? And when we talk about an AR rifle, assault rifle, what type? An AK-47? M16? I don't know the names of all the rifles, M16A1 or something. M4 carbine. Let me know. AR-15? Because there's quite some heavy weaponry, right? I heard about some of the farmers, or Dylan owning a handgun, Brenner owning some guns, some kind of small rifle, chrome pistol. But then an AR rifle, that's a bit out of nowhere. But then again, what about Lance Kelly and Kimber? Didn't Kimber carry an AR rifle when they were searching about looking for Brenner's burnt down trailer? If I'm correct in saying, unless it was a single shot. I'm not quite sure because I'm not an expert on guns. But if anyone wants to clear it up, feel free to do so. All I'm saying is, with Chase Venstra having a criminal history in the past, okay, maybe not always thinking in the right mind, as well as reoffending here and there, is there a possibility that he could have fought back, but he decided not to? If he's got a rifle, an assault rifle, he could easily shoot everyone down. And I know that sounds bad, but come on, think of the area and what other people have done in there. It's like anything goes type situation. Unless it's because he was outnumbered and the guys coming after him had weapons on them. I think this talk about ranchers going after Chase Venstra, right, could be because Chase stole something from them, or those ranchers were helping that guy who had his camo and gun stolen in the first place, one or the other. Maybe down the line, whether it be through Chinese whispers or some other thing, maybe people reworded it from ranchers to vigilante group run by Kurt Wadsworth hunting down Chase Venstra because Kurt Wadsworth and some others don't like Chase Venstra. I think that's a possibility. So whilst we do try and make sense of this event, what went down at the time, I think what we are starting to see is moments where certain groups, names in an event were twisted and turned and the narrative changed with time. And we're now looking back at some of the original sources of information before it got twisted and misunderstood. That's what I'm going to say. Let me know if you agree. Can do a little poll right now. Do you think that these ranchers coming after Chase Venstra was misunderstood in the past as the vigilante group ran by Kurt Wadsworth, that conspiracy? I think that's one of many narratives that's changed and been manipulated with time. Yes? No? Let me know your thoughts. Let's just retype it in. Tacoma Road. Right here. It's more so on the right-hand side, adjacent to the railroad tracks, where it's really thick and dense, closer to that farm. Those containers being on the left-hand side. Dylan driving down that dirt road, which would be normal because it does go into Lucin that way, and Dylan could drive down it if he was going into Montello. I'm not sure if Dylan was leaving Montello or going to Montello at the time. But it's interesting, though, how if Dylan was round this area, let's say, on the 25th, and then once again on possibly the 26th when he went into Montello, and possibly the 27th. So he spent a fair bit of time down here. Though, does that tie in whatsoever with what Lance Kelly said in the past? And I'll reiterate it once again. You know, do you agree with it, or is it a load of BS? Is it true? Is it correct that Dylan spent almost every day at Kurt Wadsworth's trailer? That's what Lance Kelly said in the past. I've documented it over time. Anything nearby? Not really. I mean, you probably can climb over the railroad tracks. Probably not the most practical of things, but you know, you can see a train in the distance, so you're not going to get too in danger. But look how thick that vegetation is by the side there. You could definitely hide in that, yeah, with camouflage too. But if we're just using this area as an example, which way was he running from? Running from over that way? Likely not, because that's going into Lucin. And Chase Venstra's homestead was in Montello, Nevada. Over that way, maybe? But what's over here? It's pretty empty, right? There's not much going on. Unless new imagery will reveal something else of interest. If it wasn't that way, was it down there somewhere? But that's going into Montello, and why would Chase Venstra want to return back to that place if he was escaping from? Was it more so over that way? Once again, I just can't really see much going on here for it to reveal much. Dake Reservoir. I mean, because there's, well, I don't know to what extent, but with there being different farms, ranches, pivots, etc., all that within Montello, Lucin, and further afar, more so. What's the level of competition like? Is it healthy competition, or are they all helping each other out? Or is there a level of toxicity, competitiveness in a nasty way? Like, if anyone gives their thoughts, if there was a person doing bad things in the area, would like the community all group up together to try and get justice or track down that person that's done bad stuff? Or is it very fragmented? Is there different groups of people, different gangs, different affiliations? You know, if anyone knows, leave your comments down below. Maybe it's not directly within Montello, but the outer skirts, these trailers, people camping in the area, or more so squatting in the area. Who do they affiliate with? Do they have their own little groups, get-togethers? But it does feel like this area over here probably doesn't apply anymore. But I need to know in the chat. I need it to be reinforced whether this is the spot or not, because it is a name of a different road. So there's that to take in mind. It's just unfortunate that they do sound similar. Tacoma, you know. Tacoma, this long running road. And they said near to it. So not on it, but nearby. So what does that exactly mean? Does it mean... Why has it gone all blurry all of a sudden? Does it mean this like dirt road that goes off down this way? Or does it mean further over there? That's what we've got to try and understand. I just want to know, why does it go blurry all of a sudden? That's just so stupid, you know? Can't really see too much going on, but it does wind round to this point where those containers were. Maybe what I'll do now, just like a clean slate. Let's just go on that alternative map and see roughly in this area, has anything changed with time from 2019 to 2022? Right, here we are. The other thing I just wanted to point out, when it comes to Tacoma Road, the reason why there's a level of importance around it is if it's near to Tacoma Road, but not quite explained to where, if for whatever reason Chase Venstra was on the Lucin side or very close to it, or even, I don't know, something like that, then maybe the closer you are to Dillon's farm, then you would know about it, or the area more so. But never mind, let's just put that aside. Let's just look at the names of these locations, right? It might make more sense. So although the border doesn't quite show, I think if you do zoom out, oh, it doesn't show anymore. There was like a white flash of a line going all the way down the middle, straight down the middle, somewhere around here. But do you see the names, how it shows up immediately, and yet it didn't elsewhere? Why can't it do it on Google Earth? Just give the name of the roads without having to, why should you have to type them all in? Tacoma Road, you see how far it goes, right? We need to zoom out. Yeah, we really do need to zoom out to make sense of it. Montello is right there, as you see. Tacoma Road is labelled here, as you can see. It should be near to that farm, right? Where is it? Is that farm we looked at previous? It could be. Looks a little bit different, but I think you've got that shed, that barn there. Okay. What about those containers on the right-hand side? Shouldn't that be over here? Yep. There they are. So they're still there. They've not moved. I know it's not the clearest, but just working with what I've got at the moment. Right, so we are in the correct area, and that's Tacoma Road. Where does it begin, though? Tacoma Road. It goes on all the way up here. Oh, god damn it. You see what I mean? When I looked at Tacoma with an A, it was just a small little road in a small area. But because Tacoma Road seems to go on for miles, I mean, where do you start? Right, it starts at this well, it's not a crossroad, is it? It's just a normal road. You got Wine Cup Road here. Does that go to Wine Cup Gamble Ranch? Maybe it does. So we've got a starting point at least. Okay. If we can clear it up in this video, or maybe I can do it in a future video, okay, just to re-edit Tacoma Road, right? And I can even highlight it and say, you see that yellow line? That's all of Tacoma Road. Kind of like what I did in the past with Snake River. You remember? Montello Road. So Montello Road, isn't that highway? Must be. So Tacoma Road comes down here. You do see more vegetation on this map. Crosses over the railroad tracks. Comes down to this point here. Over the other railroad tracks. Then it continues on as Tacoma Road all the way down here. Past that farm, what we talked about. Past those containers, which is there. And it continues on, which looks to be going into Lucin. There you go. The border is roughly round here. Tacoma Road. Let that load. We're now in Lucin, I believe. Yep, we're definitely in Lucin now. And this is still called Tacoma Road, right? So the more you think of it now, oh yeah, Chase Venstra was near Tacoma Road, which is also many miles long. Well, of course, that's helpful, isn't it? This is what I mean. What is going on? And I know some people could say, does it really matter? Well, it does, because if you got a road titled something and it covers a fair stretch, it's good to know where Dillon was going or coming from and what was near and within the area, whether it be a farm some kind of building, because as said, there was at least 3 witnesses that saw it happen, right? Where were those 3 witnesses at? Were they down this road here in Lucin, or back in Montello of Tacoma Road? You get what I'm saying? Was it near to that farm? Or was it before that, approach just after Wine Cup Road? A little bit frustrating this, but I'm sure it can be cleared up in the chat. If people want to leave longer comments and not be restricted by the characters limit, just leave a comment down below in the comment section and can read through it and provide an update. And once I'm able to do some kind of update, then maybe I can re-edit the title of the past video, or just set the past video as private because it may no longer be of use, right? This is the process of clearing up and tying up the loose ends and dead ends with time. Did it with Kenny Veach. You know, the odd video that may have been invalid or wrong. Either retitled the video to old information, or set it to unlisted or something, or just did a brand new video, an updated one, looking at it. But this is what I mean. Things like this have taken this long because it's not been updated since by other people, or it's not been corrected by other people since, right? There's not much more that can be said. Not as much vegetation here there. But really, let's just zoom on out, because I want to know how far this Tacoma Road goes on for. Right, there you go. Tacoma. And it looks like it does reach the end here, which is basically at Lucin Pond. Yeah, so Tacoma Road ends at Lucin Pond, which then becomes Pilot Mountain Road. So what I'm saying is, with this being, well, with the road going this far down into Lucin, maybe Dylan was on the way out of Lucin and going up that way, possibly. And the grain shed property is down here. Dylan's farm is over that way to the right. Tacoma Road ending here. It's very close to each other, right? The closer you are, then maybe Chase Venstra, if we're tying in just briefly with what Weezer suggested about the talk in the past about some kind of yellow box or yellow bucket item with a black lid, which was from elsewhere, I believe, of the guy that had his items stolen, which turned out to be found inside the grain shed property. It kind of ties in with one another, because if Chase Venstra was at Tacoma Road but on the Lucin side and saw the grain shed property in the distance, he may have thought, oh, new opportunity. I might take a look down there at some point. You know? Does anyone know Chase Venstra's whereabouts? The 26th, the 27th, the 28th? Well, no, not the 28th. We're aware of that. But what about the 26th and 27th? It's been said that Chase Venstra, the 28th of May, the day Dylan went missing, was at Snowville, the Flying J, at 7:01 a.m. in the morning. Then later on in the day, going down to Clinton, Utah, and then Ogden to get food, fast food. So he was away from it. But you could have visited in between, but yeah. But what about the 26th and 27th? Does anyone know? Feel free to list it down below. But you get the idea of the actual length of the road of Tacoma. It's a fair bit of distance, right? But I don't really want to go any further in case things need to be corrected, right? The main talk though, what Weezer issued out, was of importance. Who was after Chase Venstra, possibly to why, and what Chase Venstra had on him at the time, which either helped him evade detection or at least gave him protection. And he buried it in between. It's just that talk of firearms, being in possession of them, in the presence of Dylan. I assume Chase Venstra buried the AR rifle before coming across Dylan Rounds near Tacoma Road. But also, what happened to that camouflage? Was that buried along with the gun, or was he still wearing the camouflage when Dylan picked Chase up? Well, not picked him up, but came across him and then picked him up. That's what I want to know. And still, it doesn't explain to why did he have no shoes? What happened to the shoe situation? Where did they go? It really does need tying up this. So hopefully discussions can come out from it. It's quite important. So if we're going back down to him, Montello, is Tacoma. Wow, it doesn't even come up. It's not even labelled Tacoma. You got Tacoma, but not Tacoma. Let's try and type it in here. Montello. Nevada. Montello, Nevada. Italy? What are you on about? USA. I know. Tacoma. Why is it not existing? What the hell? Tacoma. No. Oh my god. Wait, so Tacoma, Tacoma, does not exist on the maps, but it does on Google Earth. What the fuck is that all about? That is so stupid, right? I think what we need to acknowledge, it's not always, well, people do play a role at the end of the day, even when it comes to these platforms and things set up. But basically, what I'm trying to get at is all this information that has come about over time, these events, timelines, timestamps, dates, people involved, wherever they're at that moment, involving Dylan, let's say the 25th. A name might be issued, but it may sound very similar to something else. And if people misunderstand it or hear it the wrong way, then they'll think it's of the other thing when it's not. And I'll give you a few examples. Kind of like in the early days when people kept talking about Jim. Jim who? Jim Terry? Jim Brenner? Right? There was confusion there. What about James? James who? James Terry? James Brenner? Shortened names for each individual, but they still apply across and can get confusing, right? You got Jim Terry, also known as James Terry, private investigator on YouTube too. Then you've got Jim Brenner, also known as James Brenner, the main person that has been charged with the murder of Dylan Rounds and desecration to his body, right? But then you had Bibbins, and then you had Bivins. And when you hear that spoken out, maybe it's the accent of the individual, maybe it's me, but most people out there that have been talking about it in the past more than me in the early days. Some were saying Bibbins with a B, a double B. Others were saying Bivins with a V, V. Do you see how confusing it is? Who is who, right? Then you got Tacoma and Tacoma Road. Oh my God. This is what the problem is. The problem is there are certain names which are similar of other people. There are certain words and pronunciations which sound the same. And that's what could cause misguidance and confusion at times. Because of bloody road names, bloody people's names which sound the same. Oh my God. So you see it, Tacoma doesn't exist, but it does on Google Earth. Can anyone explain that to me? I mean, it's an official marker, right? You type it in, it does come up, unless it's an error. That is so annoying. Let's just type one more thing in then, okay? If it's very specific. Not quite sure if it's in Montello or not, but we'll type it in anyway. If not, we'll change it to Lucin. What about Rosebud Wash then? Rosebud Wash, surely that would come up, right? It doesn't. Well, that's useful. Utah. Rosebud, nope. It's not coming up. Rosebud, Arkansas. Nope. And then we're in Arkansas all of a sudden. You see what I mean? All these different maps. Some have this name, others... Oh my god. What a mess. Okay. So there were some key questions within this video. It'd be appreciated if they could be answered regarding Chase Venstra and some things in between. As with some of the locations, what we did look at along Tacoma Road, such as that farm and those containers nearby, didn't seem to change too much. That's something from 2019 to 2022. But the actual distance of the road is a fair stretch, and it does go into Lucin, Utah, so there's that to take in mind. Where exactly was Dylan at, and where exactly was Chase at, and what direction was Chase coming from? So that still continues that, trying to understand it. Do we directly go on to the next theme map discussion in the next video? I don't know. I'll just see how this video turns out to begin with, right? If it can be cleared up, if an updated video can be made straight away, then I'll do that because that's important. If not, then I guess we just have to put it on the back burner for now and move on with the other stuff and then return back to this in the future if possible. As for that guy, Danny, is that his name? Danny with the orangutan profile picture. If you're here right now in the chat or in the comment section, there are alternative ways of communication if a message coordinates need to be passed on, okay? I think Patsy may have the location. I'll check that later, this time. And yeah, see where we are from there. If there's any questions you have, any comments or anything like that, list it down below in the comment section and then answer them at a later point. I think we'll leave it there for now because it was a bit of a messy video, but hopefully there was some key talking points raised in discussions, and yeah. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now and good night.